Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through the ages to unearth wisdom that truly stands the test of time. Today, we're doing something a little different, journeying back over a century to a surprisingly relevant source.
That's right. Our deep dive today is into ABC of Gardening, a guide published way back in 1915 by Eben E. Rexford. And it was part of this series, Harper's ABC series, which is interesting in itself. It had titles on housekeeping, electricity, even manners.
And that context alone is fascinating, isn't it? It puts gardening right up there with, foundational life skills, not just a hobby, but something you're kind of expected to know about, like basic etiquette or how electricity worked in your house.
Absolutely. So our mission today is really to extract the most relevant, insightful, maybe even surprising nuggets from this century-old manual. We want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to being genuinely well-informed, whether you've got a huge backyard or just a single window box.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Rexford considered essential back then. What advice from 1915 still holds true? What's different? And maybe what might spark that aha moment for your own gardening today?
It's a remarkable read, actually.
Right.
What you find is just a treasury of practical, enduring advice. It really proves that while tools and maybe trends change, the core principles of, nurturing plant life, they stay pretty constant.
Okay, let's dig in then. Cultivating a century of knowledge. Sounds good.
Let's do it.
So let's start at the very beginning, making a garden bed. Rexford's first instruction is spading the soil a foot deep. What's next?
Right, after spading, he insists you have to pulverize it thoroughly. So break down all those clumps until it's like fine crumbs. Then comes fertilizer.
Yeah.
For Rexford, the absolute ideal was old, well-rotted manure.
Okay, classic. But what if you couldn't get that, like in the city?
Exactly, a common problem then too. He suggests finely ground bone meal, the amount. He says about a teacup full to a yard square for, average soil.
Yep.
But here's a key insight, and this is timeless. He emphasizes observation. He says, one can decide about this when he sees the effect, meaning you watch your plants and adjust.
Right. So it's less about following strict rules and more about responding to what you actually see happening.
Precisely. It's an interaction with nature.
Interesting. He also has some specific advice for sowing seeds, doesn't he? He challenges the old way.
He does. Instead of making a deep furrow, especially for tiny seeds, he says scatter them right on the surface.
Just on the surface.
Yeah, and then sift a little fine soil over them, maybe with a sieve or just your fingers. Or, get this, press the ground down firmly with a smooth board.
A board, okay.
For larger seeds, though, like sweet peas or morning glories, he says about ½ an inch of soil cover is fine.
Why the surface sowing for fine seeds?
Well, it works particularly well for seeds that need light to germinate. And that brings up timing. His advice there is spot on. Wait until all danger from frost is over and the ground is warm enough.
Makes sense.
He suggests mid-May for hardier stuff in the north, maybe even June for the tender varieties.
Yeah.
It reminds us that soil temperature is key, not just the air temp.
Got it. Now, tools. Every gardener needs tools. What did Rexford recommend?
The basics, really. A wheelbarrow, hoe, spade, iron rake, a watering pot. Pretty standard. But he makes a special mention of the weeding hook. Said it was cheap back then, 10 or 15 cents maybe.
A weeding hook. And he was big on weeding, right?
Oh, absolutely. He
Yeah.
states it unequivocally. Weeding is absolutely necessary. There's no compromise between weeds and flowering plants because, as he puts it, weeds can overwhelm a garden in an incredibly short time.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And he highlights why that weeding hook was so good. It didn't just kill weeds quickly, it also left the soil light and porous, which connects directly to soil health, aeration, water penetration.
Ah, so it's about keeping the soil healthy, too.
Exactly. That principle, regularly disturbing the soil surface, is still a core idea in good gardening today.
Okay, let's shift from the garden bed to the lawn. Rexford apparently thought anyone could have a good lawn, not just the pros.
That's right. He challenged that idea. He assures us anyone can do it as long as they're willing to do some hard work.
So what's the hard work involved?
Preparation, preparation, preparation. He stresses leveling the surface first, using a spade and hoe, then meticulously removing all stones and rubbish, no shortcuts there, and then rake it again and again until the soil is fine and mellow.
So that groundwork is the secret to avoiding patchy spots later on.
That's the idea. Same with fertilizer. Work it in thoroughly and evenly. You don't want those patches of super lush grass next to scanty bits.
Makes sense. And the seed itself?
He insists on the very best kind, specifically lawn grass mixtures from a reliable dealer. Quality matters.
Okay, but here's something interesting I saw. He actually recommends doubling the amount of seed the dealer suggests.
Yes, that's a really surprising tip, isn't
It
it?
is. What was his reasoning?
He figured you'd get a lawn that looks a year or two old by the middle of the season, much thicker, faster. And he believed that denser lawn would better resist drought and heat. Pretty clever, actually. Density for resilience.
A clever strategy. What about the actual sowing? Any tricks there?
Yeah, he notes that amateurs often just scatter the seed, which leads to unevenness. His technique. So from north to south and then from east to west, like a crosshatch pattern.
Oh,
And do it on a still, damp day, holding your hand close to the ground, no broadcasting wildly.
right, precise. For that uniform carpet-like look.
Exactly. It's all about that even coverage.
Okay, so we've covered soil, lawns. Let's get into designing with plants. What was his advice there, especially for smaller spaces?
Right. For small lots, he suggests a mixed border. Basically a planting bed along the sides of the property, framing the house like a picture.
How wide should it be?
He says at least 4 feet wide, but ideally 6 or 8, and maybe even wider towards the back of the lot. He also suggests letting the inner edge curve a little here and there, gives it a more natural, less rigid feel.
And mixed means?
Combining everything, shrubs, perennials, annuals, even spring bulbs, all together in one bed. But he warns, this kind of border needs really rich soil and annual feeding, usually with manure.
What's the key to making it look good?
Planning. He really emphasizes thinking about the mature size of the plants, especially shrubs. You don't want it turning into an overgrown thicket.
Good point. So how do you arrange them?
To get that nice bank-like effect, you put taller plants at the back, medium ones in the middle, and the low growers right at the front edge. He recommends specific, hardy, easy plants too. Shrubs like spirea, especially the Van Houten variety and lilacs.
Okay.
And for perennials, the classics. Peonies, phlox, delphinium, iris, hollyhocks, reliable beauties.
Nice. And for lots of color all season, what about annuals?
Ah, annuals. He puts the sweet pea right at the head of the list. Says it blooms profusely all season if you stop it from setting seed.
Deadheading, basically.
Exactly. And he describes this unique V-shaped trench method for planting them. Gives the roots a deep, cool run, which they love.
Interesting. Sow them thickly.
Yes, sow quite thickly. And give them support. Brushwood or woven wire netting works well.
What else did he like for annuals?
He also praises nasturtiums, calls them a most profuse and constant bloomer with that delicious spicy fragrance. Great for cutting, too.
I like nasturtiums.
And asters. For their beauty, wide color range, ease of culture. He particularly liked the branching kind, the ones with long stems, good for bouquets.
Any others?
Oh yeah, he mentioned standbys like phloxdromondii, verbena, calliopsis, marigolds, poppies, the bachelor's button. But his core advice for amateurs, and this is still so relevant, is to confine one's attention to a few.
Focus, right. Don't try to do everything at once.
Exactly. Guaranteed success with a few, rather than spreading yourself thin, trying a little of everything. Solid advice.
Definitely. Okay, what about vines? They can be so useful.
He thought Ampelopsis, which is Virginia creeper, was the best adapted to amateur culture.
Why that one?
Rapid growth, super hardy, climbs walls by itself, and that brilliant red autumn color. Yeah. He does warn you might need to prune it, though. Keep it from covering windows completely. It can be quite vigorous.
Good to know. Any flowering vines he recommended?
Yes, he loved the Dorothy Perkins rose, calls it a charming rambler for porches, soft pink flowers in large, loose clusters,
Nice.
and specific clematis varieties. Not the sometimes fuzzy hybrids, but older types like C. flammula, very fragrant, star-like white flowers and these cool feathery seed tails later on, and C. paniculata, which blooms late in the season with just masses of white flowers. Really stunning.
Okay. What about for covering a porch?
Trumpet honeysuckle was one of his picks for porch use. Scarlet and orange flowers, clean foliage. And for an annual vine, the morning glory. Calls it the best annual flowering vine. Fast grower, lots of colors, just needs stout cord to climb on.
He also had an interesting take on the crimson rambler rose.
Yeah, he actually treated it more like a shrub than a vine and gave specific pruning advice to get the best flowers from it. And he loved bittersweet, the native Celastrus scandens. Not for the flowers so much, but for those striking crimson berries and orange shells that hang on late into the season. Great winter interest.
Lots of good options there. Okay, let's move to the seasons. Spring renewal. What did Rexford say were the essential tasks?
Right, spring. First thing is cleanup. Cut back the dead perennials, get rid of the old annuals. If you used winter protection, like straw or leaves, don't take it off too early. Wait until the danger of hard frost is really over.
Okay.
And he suggests using pegs if you have to recover temporarily so the covering doesn't weigh down and crush the new shoots. Smart.
What else in spring?
He encourages you to really look at your garden then. Find what changes can be made advantageously, move things around. The goal is getting every plant into the place just suited to its peculiarities.
So, right plant, right place.
Exactly. And it's a good time to divide perennials, the old clumps. He says about once every 3 years helps rejuvenate them. Also, pruning shrubs, cut out weak wood, thin branches. But for the early bloomers, wait until after they flower to prune.
Right. Don't cut off the flower buds.
Precisely. And of course, work in that good old manure each spring.
He also mentions using volunteers, right? Those self-sown plants.
Yes, transplant them early in spring. Take advantage of nature's propagation.
Yeah.
But he gives a crucial warning for spring soil work. Never, ever work the soil when it's too wet.
Why not?
Because it simply will not pulverize. It just compacts into hard clods. Bad for roots.
Good tip. And he advocated planting with a diagram.
Yes, avoid haphazard gardening. Plan it out, even just a simple sketch. Intentional design makes a difference.
Okay, so spring is about cleanup, assessing, dividing, feeding, and careful soil work. What about midsummer?
Well, his big perspective shift for midsummer is that gardening isn't just spring work. It's one period that covers the entire season.
An ongoing commitment.
Exactly. And that means
Daily weeding.
you got it. He warns that neglecting it even for a week can mean your flowers get lost out of sight.
Been there. What about transplanting things in summer?
If you have to, choose a cloudy day or do it after sundown.
Mm-hmm.
Water the plant really well before you dig it up so the soil clings to the roots. Use a trowel.
Okay.
And he even suggests making a simple shade for newly transplanted things, like a piece of cardboard propped up with sticks to shield them from harsh sun.
Simple but effective. Now, you mentioned a really counterintuitive tip about hoeing in dry weather.
Yes, this is brilliant. Most people think hoeing dries out the soil faster.
Yeah, it seems logical.
But Rexford says no, keep hoeing daily, especially in dry weather. Why? Because stirring the surface keeps it light and porous, which actually helps it absorb whatever moisture there may be in the air, like a dust mulch.
Wow, so it helps retain moisture, not lose it.
Exactly. It's a deep understanding of soil physics, a real aha moment from 1915.
Definitely. What else for midsummer maintenance?
Deadheading. Cut off every faded flower. Stop seed formation. Encourages more blooms. Keep that color coming.
Makes sense.
And supporting floppy plants. Never allow plants of slender habit to sprawl all over the ground. Use twigs or brush. Keep things tidy and upright.
And watering.
If it's dry, water after sundown. Lets the water soak in deep before the sun can evaporate it. And use a watering pot with a long spout, but crucially without the sprinkler nozzle.
Oh, why no nozzle?
For direct application right at the base of the plant, down to the roots. Less waste, more effective delivery.
Smart. Okay, what about folks without a garden? City dwellers.
Ah, for them, Rexford exclaims, blessed be window boxes.
He saw them as excellent substitutes.
But he points out a common problem, right?
Yes, the biggest failure. Lack of sufficient moisture. Boxes are exposed on all sides. They dry out incredibly fast.
So how much water are we talking?
He gives a specific example. A box maybe a foot wide, foot deep, 4 or 5 feet long. It could need a large pail full of water daily.
A whole pail daily.
Yeah.
Daily, his rule. Always apply enough water each time to saturate all the soil. And be super regular about it. Consistency is key.
Got it. What about soil and plants for them?
Start with rich soil, then fertilize later in the season when the nutrients get used up. For plants, he suggests trailing vines like Madeira vine, Tradescantia, Vinca harrisonii, German ivy, even things like saxifraga and ivy-leaved geraniums.
What if the window faces north, less sun?
Then he recommends ferns like Boston and Whitman, asparagus ferns, plumosis and springerie, or fibrous-rooted begonias. And a practical tip, sink the plants in their pots into the window box soil, rather than planting directly. Makes it way easier to bring them inside for the winter.
Oh, that's clever. Saves repotting stress.
Exactly.
He also had ideas about using plants inside the house for decoration, right? Beyond just window gardens.
Yes, table decoration, an economical and, he thought, often more beautiful alternative to expensive cut flowers.
What kind of plants did he suggest for the table?
He loved the asparagus fern, Plumosis nanus, called its foliage so fine that it has all the delicacy of lace. Very elegant. And you could just stick a few cut roses or carnations right into the pot with the fern for a splash of color.
Nice combo. What about for holidays?
Ardesia, with its bright scarlet berries, or Jerusalem cherry with its little crimson fruits, Both last for weeks, much longer than cut flowers. He also mentions a baby palm, Cocos woodeliana, for a touch of distinction.
Any flowering plants for the table?
Begonia gloire de Lorraine, with its dainty pink blossoms, looks charming day or night, and Primula conica, the baby primrose, for a wild, widsy air. Is a constant bloomer. Just needs to go back to the window after its table duty.
So a rotation system.
Pretty much. He also mentions using fruit and vegetable arrangements in the fall, or bittersweet berries and dried everlasting flowers like gomphrena or coxcomb in winter, building a collection of things you can use.
What about general houseplants, just for greenery?
He notes that German households were particularly fond of myrtle and English ivy. Evergreen, easy to grow.
Yeah.
English ivy is great because it can handle low light. You could even train it across the ceiling.
Wow. What else? Palms.
Yes, he mentions aurica, Latania the fan palm, and Kentius. He especially recommended Kentius for beginners because they're quite robust.
Any care tips for palms?
Loamy soil, keep them consistently moist but not soggy, avoid strong direct sun, and wash the leaves weekly. His quirky tip, add a little sweet milk to the water for extra gloss.
Sweet milk.
Yeah. Also the Boston fern, a veritable fountain of foliage, easy care. Ficus, the rubber plant for those big glossy leaves, and the aspidistra, or cast iron plant. He said it can practically take care of itself, tolerates neglect, great for beginners or forgetful waterers.
He does warn about pests on some of those, right? Scale insects.
Yes, specifically on myrtle, ivy, ficus, and palms. He directs readers to his chapter on insect remedies for how to deal with them.
Okay, let's talk about bringing spring indoors during the deep winter. Bulbs. He seemed keen on those.
Very keen. He says you're reasonably sure of getting fine flowers. You can have blooms through the entire winter if we plan for succession, and they need less care than most houseplants. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, what's the secret? He mentioned 3 essentials.
Right. Number 1, good stock. Number 2, good soil. And number 3, the most crucial, root development before top growth.
Okay, break those down. Good stock.
Means buy from reliable dealers. He specifically mentions Holland-grown bulbs. Avoid those wonderfully cheap ones, because they're often cheap in quality too. Pay a bit more for reliability.
Makes sense. Good soil.
A sandy loam, ideally enriched with old, thoroughly rotted cow manure, or bone meal if you can't get manure, needs to be light, easy for roots to penetrate.
And the big one, root development before top growth.
This is key. Pot several bulbs together in a pot, just covering them to their depth with soil, water them well. Then, and this is the important part, put them in a cool and dark place, like a cellar or a cool closet, for at least 6 weeks.
6 weeks in the dark and cool.
Minimum. The idea is to force the bulb to make lots of roots before it even thinks about sending up leaves or flowers. His mantra: roots first, flowers afterward.
Got it. Roots first. How do you get blooms all winter?
Succession planting. Pot up a few bulbs every 10 days or 2 weeks, starting in, say, mid-September or early October. Stagger the planting, stagger the blooming.
Clever. What kinds of bulbs did he recommend?
Holland hyacinths, he preferred the single varieties. White Roman hyacinths, early tulips. Narcissus, he names Van Scion. Horsfieldi, Empress, Trumpet Major, paper whites, and the Bermuda or Easter lily. That one needs a special deep planting method, he explains, because it makes roots both at the bottom and up the stem.
Sounds a bit complicated, but he thought it was simple once you grasped the basics.
Exactly. He says it's a very simple proposition once you understand the whys and wherefores, good bulbs, good soil, and that crucial, cool, dark period for rooting.
Okay, now, the winter window garden itself. He mentions common problems people have, right? Plants looking sickly after being brought inside.
Yes. Yellowing leaves, dropping leaves, weak growth, buds that just shrivel up. Very common frustrations.
What's the main culprit, according to Rexford?
One big one is over-fertilizing. He strongly warns, never apply any kind of plant food to weak and debilitated plants. Wait until they show signs of active growth.
And even then, be careful.
Yes, fertilize only then and use small amounts. The goal is vigorous growth, not forcing rapid, weak, unhealthy growth.
And another huge factor he points out is air.
Fresh air, this is so critical. He says, plants breathe the same as human beings do. Yet in winter, we seal up our houses tight, put on storm doors. We do everything in our power, seemingly, to prevent fresh air from getting to them.
Guilty as charged. So what's his solution?
Simple. Give them a liberal supply of fresh air every day, and preferably several times a day. Open a door or window in another room. Maybe crack a window slightly from the top on the opposite side of the room the plants are in. Let the stale air out. Fresh air circulate gently.
Good for us too, probably.
Absolutely. He also warns against keeping rooms too hot. High temperatures weaken plants. Aim for summer warmth. Use a thermometer. His bottom line, too much heat and too little fresh air will kill almost any plant.
Strong words. What about watering in winter?
It depends on the plant's state. Dormant plants need very little water. Actively growing ones need more. Water when the surface soil looks dry, but make sure you give enough so the soil gets moist all through. Avoid those frequent little splashes that only wet the top inch.
Right, deep watering less often.
That's the principle.
Okay, inevitably, pests show up. How did Rexford deal with them back in 1915? Let's start with aphids, or plant lice.
Aphids. They suck the sap, as he puts it. The old way was tobacco smoke, fumigating the plants, but apparently it made people sick too.
Yikes. So what was the new way then?
He recommended something called nicoticide, basically a nicotine extract insecticide. You dilute it with water and spray it. He advised applying it proactively before you see a big infestation.
Smart. What about red spider mites? Those tiny things.
Yes, they cause yellowing leaves, dropping leaves, sometimes tiny webs. His solution was surprisingly simple. Cold water is all the insecticide we need.
Just cold water.
Yep. Daily spraying with cold water creates a moist atmosphere that they absolutely hate, disrupts them.
Okay. What about scale insects? Those hard-shelled bumps.
Right, those flat, fish scale-like things, often on thick-leaved plants like oleander, ivy, ficus, palms. His remedy was an emulsion, a mix of white soap, water, kerosene, and tobacco extract. You'd apply it carefully with a soft cloth or a small brush directly onto the scale. He said it worked for roses, too.
Sounds like work. Any other pests? Worms and pots?
For worms in pot soil, he suggested lime water. You let fresh lime settle in water, then use the clear liquid to saturate the soil when it's already moist. The worms come up, and you remove them.
Interesting remedies. He also had thoughts on gardening for children, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He was a big proponent. Said it would keep children out of mischief, provide immense pleasure, and crucially, it will not seem like work to them. It will be play.
That's a great perspective. What's the deeper benefit?
Learning directly from nature. Learning things at first hand. Witnessing the miracle of life unfold.
What about parents? Do they need to be expert gardeners?
Not at all. He says even hazy knowledge is enough. Parents can learn right alongside their children. His practical tips. Give kids good tools, not flimsy toys. Give them good seed. And give them all the credit justly due them for their efforts.
Nice. He also suggested specific projects.
Yeah, like getting them interested in making a fern garden or collecting native wildflowers and ferns. Turn it into a picnic excursion. Teach them how to dig properly, choose smaller plants which transplant better, and try to match the plant's original shady or sunny conditions.
That sounds like a wonderful way to connect kids with nature.
It really does. He also shared some creative home and garden conveniences, ideas beyond just planting beds.
Like what?
Floral awnings. Instead of cloth awnings for windows and doors, use vines like morning glory or flowering bean grown on simple lath frames. Much prettier and cooler, he argued.
That's a neat idea.
Also, dressing up gates with posts that have vine-covered awning frames. He'd like wild cucumber for that because it grows so fast. Garden seats could have similar vine-covered awnings for shade if you don't have trees.
Practical shade solutions.
And privacy screens. Large screens covered with hardy vines like ampelopsis or clematis, or lower screens using sweet peas.
And he built a living fence himself.
Yes. Using ampelopsis, Virginia creeper, trained on woven wire netting. He said in a couple of seasons it became a close-clipped hedge of luxuriant green in summer, turning scarlet and crimson in fall. And the best part, without annual shearing. A low-maintenance, beautiful boundary. Really challenges the idea of a traditional fence.
That's fantastic. Did he address the myth about vines damaging walls?
He did. He debunked it. Argued that vines on wood walls actually protect them from moisture. Their overlapping leaves act as shingles, shedding rain away rather than trapping it.
Interesting take. Now, Rexford ends with a long list of garden don'ts, lots of wisdom and what not to do. Can we distill some key themes?
Absolutely. It's a goldmine. Some core principles really stand out from his many points. First, don't overcommit or overbuy. Resist that springtime urge to take on more than you can realistically manage all season. And don't try to grow everything under the sun. Focus on a few plants you can care for well.
Okay, manage expectations and resources. What else?
Second, don't neglect consistent, regular care. Gardening isn't sporadic. Plants need attention when they need it, daily weeding, consistent watering when dry. You can't make up for neglect later.
Right, consistency is key.
Third, don't just copy others or chase trends. Think about your own space. Create original features. Avoid fads like fussy carpet bedding, unless you really know what you're doing. And be wary of heavily marketed new plants. Stick with reliable, good old standbys until something is proven.
Be original, be discerning. Makes sense.
And perhaps the most profound one, cultivate the true gardening instinct. This is more than just technique. Rexford believed it's a deep love for plants, a desire to nurture them even against challenges. He even says flowers know who loves them and might refuse to flourish for those who don't care for them for their own sweet sakes.
Wow, that's quite a statement, a real connection.
It is. And tied to that, value experience over just book learning. Books provide theory, but you must contribute experience. Gardening is learned by doing.
So true. Any other major don'ts?
Don't give plants weak light or crowd them. Don't put small plants in huge pots. Don't force growth with strong fertilizers. Don't treat all plants the same. Study their individual needs. Lots of practical wisdom there.
It's been quite a journey through Eben Rexford's ABC of Gardening from 1915. What's really striking, I think, is just how much of his practical advice, soil prep, sowing, pests, even indoor plant care, feels incredibly relevant today.
It really does, doesn't it? It reinforces the idea that gardening, whether it's that tiny window box or a whole landscape, is just a deeply rewarding thing. It connects us to nature. And those fundamental principles, nurturing life, observing, responding, they're just timeless.
So, as you, our listeners, reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider what it means to have that true gardening instinct Rexford talked about. Is it a skill you learn, a passion that grows, or maybe, just maybe, a connection that the plants themselves actually recognize? And how could cultivating that instinct, beyond just the technical ABCs, change how you see the green world around you?
Yeah, we'd encourage you to just look at your own plants or maybe that empty patch of soil with fresh eyes. Perhaps try one of Rexford's tips, or simply take a moment today to observe your green companions a little more closely. You might be surprised at what they and, what a century-old guide can still teach you.